My family's been in the jewelry manufacturing business for about 40 years, and having grown up on Jewelers Row, some would say it's in my blood. As the youngest of 3 and daddy's little girl, I always managed to tag along with my father on business trips around the world. The ability to explore the jewelry industry at such a young age sparked a passion that would end up becoming a career for me. It's incredibly humbling to share with you the journey that I've taken over the past 12 years, which led me to become one of Oprah's favorite things in her final season, on the cover of 9 magazines and on A-list celebrities like Jennifer Lopez, Demi Moore, Kate Hudson, and Jessica Alba. And luckily enough, Jessica Alba was styled by the amazing Brad Goreski. Most people would ask, where did this passion come from? I grew up in a very creative and encouraging household. My father chased and found the American dream, having grown up in the mountains of Morocco. He started his business in Chicago after serving in Vietnam and is a true artist in every sense of the word. He is one of the most innovative thinkers I know and has always taught me to believe in your dreams and pursue your passions. My mother is really the backbone of my inspiration and nurtured the creative soul inside of me from a very young age. My first trip to India with my dad, I was extremely inspired by the country's colorful and bright atmosphere. And while traveling in Jaipur, found my love for rubies, emeralds, and sapphires. After my first trip to India and a relatively small collection, I launched my first company and sold every piece within 48 hours of my first showcase at a charity golf outing for the Chicago Brittle Bone Foundation. I continued my adventures each summer with my father and launched my first diamond collection in 2003. Dana Rebecca Designs is 5 years old and was launched under the pretense that women should own wearable jewelry. I wanted my designs to be timeless treasures that were in your daily rotation, not collecting dust in your jewelry box, waiting for the perfect day and occasion. It's always been important to me to design pieces that you can wear from day to night and just transition from work to evening. I love hearing from my clients that they were able to wear our Annabeth studs to yoga and the same night to a cocktail party. Here you can see Mila Kunis wearing one of our necklaces from day to night and showing how transitional some of our pieces are. In keeping with the theme, why are you wearing that? For me, it's simple. I have one of the most colorful collections, and that's because I don't believe one color satisfies everyone. While most designers have 1 shade of green, I have 4. And while most designers predominantly use white gold, I mostly sell rose gold. Your eye color, skin color, and hair all affect the pieces I design. And I don't believe that all metals satisfy everyone. Not all blondes have the same skin tones or undertones, and I think it's always important to highlight your eyes, rosy cheeks, or the color of your hair. I am most inspired by the women who surround me, and my earliest memories start with my mother and maternal grandmother. A talented stained glass artist, my mom always dresses to the nines and has such a chic sense of style. My grandmother was also extremely put together, and no matter the time of day, she was always decked out in the most exquisite of jewelry. I remember finding a South Sea pearl on one of my first buying trips and immediately naming it the Nana Bernice. And from that day forward, I began naming all my designs after the women in my life who inspire me to create from day to day. I began designing a vintage-style earring a couple months ago, and I was stressing over who to name it after. And I realized the name of those perfect earrings would perfectly match my dear friend Annie's first baby's name, Agnes Fortune. The name itself is sweet, old-fashioned, and totally sophisticated. She's also 3 years old. Who knew this 3-year-old would be able to carry the weight of the vintage-style earrings that I had designed? While planning my wedding this August, I began thinking again of Agnes Fortune and of ways to create timeless wedding jewelry that I would love and cherish forever. What started off as a drawing turned into a computer design, which turned into a reality. My diamond hairpiece, clad with 4 carats of diamonds and rose gold to offset the hints of my once strawberry blonde hair, was the accent that I chose. I used the base of the Agnes Fortune to design this romantic and vintage-style jewelry that I would love and cherish forever. I am very nostalgic when it comes to jewelry. Rich or poor, I think most of you can attest to the fact that we all have a memory of some important piece of jewelry in our lives. While traveling in India, I remember seeing women sleeping on the street, but in gorgeous 24-karat jewelry. There's a connection that people have to jewelry that reminds them of their mother, grandmother, or someone special in their lives. My entire childhood, I have been obsessed with 3 flower rings my grandmother wore, and I was insistent at every chance I could get for her to take them off so I could try them on. I remember being told that one day those rings would be mine. And while I kept an eye on those rings for most of my childhood, no one would have predicted that my grandmother would develop dementia and begin hiding her most prized pieces of jewelry. Now, with full-blown Alzheimer's, it is an absolute mystery as to where she had stored those rings. I've spent countless days with my mom and dad trying to recall exactly what they looked like, the shape, the height, and the color. In February of this year, my boyfriend of 2 years proposed to me, and something amazing happened at our engagement party. My mother-in-law walked into the restaurant wearing the exact 3 rings I had been obsessed with my entire life. Can you imagine the screams? I know I had just gotten engaged and got a gorgeous ring from my fiance, but there were 3 rings in the room that made me start crying. I began yelling for my mom and saying, "Those are Nana's rings." The emotion in the room was palpable, and the feeling of putting on those rings after so many years is something I'll never be able to explain. A few months later, my mother-in-law gifted me those 3 rings as a reminder of the love she has for me and my grandmother as well. It was by far the most generous, thoughtful, and emotional gift I've ever received. My goal as a designer is to emulate emotion like that. I want you to see pieces from my collection and be reminded of someone special in your life. I enjoy being able to update the classics, put a spin on those timeless treasures, while also creating one-of-a-kind pieces that are conversation starters. I can only dream that my pieces are passed down from generation to generation like those 3 rings. While fashion comes and goes, the minute something's cool, the next minute it is not. For fine jewelry, I say remember the classics and invest in those that are timeless. The success of Dana Rebecca Designs has developed as a result of devoted and loyal followers. My first customers from the Chicago Brittle Bone Foundation 12 years ago are still clients today. And they have introduced me to their friends and passed on my designs. It's incredibly rewarding when clients gift their 16-year-old daughters with jewelry from my collection. It reminds me that we transcend age groups from sweet 16s to 80th birthday gifts. It was just this week that I received images of our new heart bracelets and decided to immediately show our fans. Within minutes, we'd sold 6 bracelets and had 50 likes on our Instagram page. It's these real-time moments that encourage me to design every day. At 28 years old, I'm living my dream and following my passions. I only hope the future will continue to sparkle and shine. Thank you.